From our Washington, D.C. studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Hena Zuberi. Syrians celebrate as President Trump lifts U.S. sanctions, calling it a fresh start after Assad's fall, and a new government takes shape. This and much more in today's show. A federal judge ordered the release of Badar Suri today after the Trump administration arrested and targeted him for deportation last month. Suri is a postdoctoral scholar at Georgetown University who has been held in the Prairieland Detention Center in Texas since March. In her ruling, Judge Patricia Giles said that his detention by Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, was in violation of his constitutional right to free speech and the right to due process. Suri, who was in the U.S. legally, was accused by the Department of Homeland Security of actively spreading Hamas propaganda and promoting anti-Semitism on social media. President Donald Trump secures a $200 billion jet deal with Qatar during his historic visit to the Gulf state, the first by a U.S. president in more than 2 decades. Qatar Airways will buy 160 Boeing jets under the agreement signed in the capital Doha, witnessed by Trump and Qatari Emir Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani. The leaders also signed defense and trade deals, with the Emir declaring the U.S.-Qatar partnership reaching another level. Trump praised the Emir as an outstanding man and said that they had a very interesting discussion on Iran, Russia-Ukraine war, and trade. Earlier, Trump addressed the U.S. GCC summit in Riyadh and signed a $142 billion defense deal with Saudi Arabia. He wraps up his Gulf tour in the UAE on Thursday. Meanwhile, U.S., Turkish, and Syrian officials are meeting in the Turkish city of Antalya to finalize Trump's plan to lift Syrian sanctions. Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan expressed hope for the swift progress on the issue. Senator Chuck Schumer has blocked all political nominations to the Justice Department. He's demanding answers over President Donald Trump's accepting a luxury jet from Qatar. The plane was reportedly offered to serve as Air Force One. Trump called the gift a very nice gesture and said it would go to his presidential library. But Schumer called it unethical. He said Attorney General Pam Bondi approved the gift in a secret memo. Schumer wants Bondi to testify before Congress. He says the gift may violate the Constitution's emolument clause, which bars presidents from taking gifts from foreign states without the approval of Congress. NBC News said that the Justice Department had ruled the gift legal. Syrians poured into the streets, dancing and singing after President Donald Trump announced the lifting of sanctions on their country. Speaking at the Saudi-U.S. Investment Forum in Saudi Arabia's capital, Riyadh, Trump declared he would remove what he called brutal and crippling sanctions to give Syria a chance at greatness. The move was hailed by Damascus as a, quote, pivotal turning point. Foreign Minister Asad al-Shalbani welcomed the announcement, saying it marked a shift in U.S. policy after years of punishing measures over war crimes linked to the regime of ex-President Bashar al-Assad. The move comes months after Syria formed a new transitional government following the fall of President al-Assad, who fled to Russia in December. His departure ended the Ba'ath Party's grip on the country, held since 1963. Trump's trip to Saudi Arabia marks the start of his Gulf tour, with stops in Qatar and the UAE, his first major foreign visit in his second term. A new poll shows that most Americans blame President Donald Trump for rising costs. The survey by Groundwork Collaborative and Data for Progress found that 55% disapprove of Trump's handling of inflation. Among Democrats, 96% blame him, so do 73% of independents. Even 31% of Republicans agree Trump is at fault. Observers say his erratic trade and tariff policies are fueling price hikes. Grocery bills, clothing, electronics, and car prices are all up. Inflation slowed down slightly to 2.3% in April, but consumer prices rose by 0.2%. Experts warn more increases are likely as Trump's tariffs kick in. Analysts say Trump's policies are hurting working-class families while benefiting billionaires. The U.S. will terminate Temporary Protected Status, or TPS, for Afghanistan, a move that could lead to the deportation of more than 9,000 Afghans currently living in the country. Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem said Afghanistan's security situation has improved and its economy has stabilized, no longer preventing them from returning to their home country. TPS is a humanitarian program that offers temporary legal status and work authorizations to citizens of countries experiencing armed conflict. Afghanistan was first designated for TPS following the U.S. withdrawal and the Taliban's takeover of the country in 2021. Many of the people in the United States are those that helped the U.S. government against the Taliban. Norway's $1.8 trillion wealth fund has dropped Israeli energy giant Paz over its role in illegal West Bank settlements, the second Israeli firm cut since the Gaza genocide started. This and much more coming up next. Virginia's Republican Governor Glenn Youngkin has vetoed a bill that would have allowed African American history and African American studies to count towards high school graduation. The bill gave students the option to substitute world history or world geography with these courses. Delegate David Reed, who sponsored the bill, said it was about choices, not a mandate, and had some bipartisan support. More than 30 school districts already offer these courses as electives, but they do not currently fulfill graduation requirements. Youngkin amended the bill, but the General Assembly rejected his changes. He then vetoed it, saying replacement courses must align with overall educational goals. Reed criticized the move, calling it a contradiction of Youngkin's first executive order promoting honest history education. He accused the governor of bowing to anti-DEI pressures led by Donald Trump. With Youngkin's term ending, Reed says he will reintroduce the bill under the next administration. Israeli airstrikes have killed at least 84 Palestinians across Gaza today, health officials say. 50 died in northern Gaza, including in Jabalia refugee camp. 6 air raids struck near the European hospital in Khan Yunis. One hit a bulldozer clearing rubble from yesterday's attack that had killed 28 people. The strikes disrupted emergency services and trapped ambulances inside. 2 children were killed east of Khan Yunis. A man and his wife also died when their tent shelter was hit. A senior police commander was killed in a separate strike. Israelis claim it was targeting Hamas fighters near the hospital. The assault comes as the U.S. and Israel propose tighter aid control. Russia, China, and the UK have rejected the plan, demanding Israel end its 2-month blockade, warning of worsening famine and disease in Gaza. Israel has killed over 61,000 Palestinians and wounded more than 119,700 since October 2023. Norway's $1.8 trillion sovereign wealth fund has excluded Israeli energy giant Paz due to its operations in illegal West Bank settlements. The fund's Ethics Council said Paz, which runs 9 gas stations in the occupied territory, contributes to the settlement's continuation. This marks the second Israeli firm dropped since the genocide in Gaza began in October 2023. The fund earlier divested from telecom firm Bezeq. Pressure is mounting in Norway for a full boycott of Israeli firms. The powerful LO trade union recently backed such a move. But Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Støre said that the government prefers engagement over boycott. Norway's wealth fund, the world's largest, owns stakes in 9,000 companies globally. It held $2.1 billion in 65 Israeli firms at the end of 2024. The divestment comes as Norway pushes Israel at the UN's top court to allow more aid into Gaza. Activists say that the fund's ethics body is too slow to act. India firmly rejected President Donald Trump's offer to mediate on Kashmir, saying the issue must be resolved bilaterally with Pakistan. Foreign Ministry spokesman Ranveer Jaiswal said New Delhi's position remains unchanged. He said Kashmir is India's internal matter and Pakistan must vacate its part of Kashmir. Trump, after announcing a U.S.-brokered ceasefire between the two nuclear-armed neighbors, said he hoped to find a lasting solution to the decades-long dispute. Pakistan welcomed the gesture. Tensions escalated after an April 22nd attack in Kashmir that killed 26 people, mostly Indian tourists. India blamed Pakistan, which denied the involvement and called for an impartial probe. India launched missile strikes inside Pakistan, and Pakistan administered Kashmir on sites of some religious organizations. Pakistan retaliated by firing on India's military sites. India also suspended the Indus Water Treaty, saying it will remain in abeyance until Pakistan ends its support for cross-border, quote-unquote, terrorism. At least 51 people, including 40 civilians and 11 Pakistani troops, were killed in recent clashes between India and Pakistan, according to the Pakistani military. The military said 199 others were injured, amongst them 121 civilians and 78 armed personnel. The dead include 7 women and 15 children. Tensions spiked after India launched Operation Sindoor last week, targeting what it called 9 terror sites in Pakistan and Pakistani-administered Kashmir. India said 5 of its soldiers died in the operation. Pakistan responded with Operation Banyan al-Marsus, firing missiles at 26 Indian military sites. It claims to have downed 5 Indian aircraft. Fierce cross-border shelling followed along the line of control. A ceasefire was brokered by the U.S. over the weekend. India has launched the strikes after a deadly attack killed 26 Indian tourists in Kashmir. It blamed the attack on Kashmiris and Pakistan. French President Emmanuel Macron has voiced support for banning religious symbols, including hijabs, in sports competitions. In an interview with broadcaster TF1, Macron said he backs the Olympic Charter, which bans religious symbols during competitions. While practicing sports in facilities is allowed, he said competitions should remain neutral spaces. The government plans to propose multiple reforms by June, after which Macron may decide which to take to the public. He said these votes could help consult citizens on major economic and social issues. The Food and Drug Administration, or FDA, is moving to ban fluoride supplements for children by October 31st. These include prescription tablets, drops, and lozenges meant to prevent cavities in kids without access to fluoridated water. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and FDA Commissioner Dr. Marty Makary argue the supplements may harm gut health despite limited evidence. They say better dental care and less sugar are safer ways to fight cavities. The move goes against long-standing guidance from the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention, U.S. Preventative Services Task Force, and dental associations. Experts warn it removes a key tool for dentists treating high-risk children in areas without fluoridated water. They argue that the FDA is acting on uncertain science, with studies showing low-dose fluoride is generally safe and even helpful in cavity prevention. That's all from our Washington, D.C. studios. Thank you for watching Muslim News. We are a channel dedicated to bringing you stories you can trust. Please like, share, and subscribe to our content. You can also comment to let us know what you think of our coverage. You can donate now by visiting muslimnetwork.tv/donate. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum.